Good evening. It is 6 p.m. and I'm in Susan Tully Lisley boardroom of the 1887 building. It is Monday, May 13th. And I would like to start the meeting by saying the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and Mr. Tadlock, will you do roll call, please?
Mr. Andre.
Here.
Mr. Gayheart.
Here.
Mr. Gordon.
Here.
Gordon. Sorry.
Here.
Mrs. Ingersoll.
Here.
Mrs. Costock.
Here.
Mrs. Reckles.
Here.
Mr. Scarrow.
Here.
Mr. Barkus.
Here.
Mr. Forster.
Here.
Okay, we do have a quorum. This meeting has been noticed for state statutes. I'd like to start out with community participation. I did not receive any cards or anyone registering to speak tonight, so we will move on from there and start with the anthology student presentation.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Amy G, and I'm the K-5 Director of Instruction, as well as the Gifted and Talented Program with the school district. Thank you to all of our parents for clearing your schedule and being here this evening. So your students being here this evening. We often have different school groups presenting at the start of our board meetings just to kind of showcase the wonderful things happening in the school district. And when we get to this point in May, I always ask to block time so that we can feature some of our young authors and illustrators here in the district. So we're going to talk just briefly about the anthology project this evening. And we have 21 students in grades 3 through 8 that are going to have their work published in this year's edition. The book this year is entitled What If? And this is kind of an enrichment activity for students who like to write and for those who like to draw. So it kind of offers that enrichment in the area of ELA, English language arts, as well as arts. In our next slide, you'll see like what exactly is the anthology project. So pictured there is a copy of last year's book, and you'll see that it's published in black and white. I have a copy here. And basically, we organize the book by grade level, and you'll see it features just students writing. But this whole project begins in October. Mr. Tadlock, thank you for moving ahead. And there are a number of different genres that students can explore, from writing poetry, prose, which is just story writing. Expository writing is a new category, and that's a nonfiction piece if they'd like to do research and then write a nonfiction piece. Art includes just basic black and white drawing. We also have students who may enter a cartoon or do illustrated writing, which is when they add the drawing to their artwork, so that to their writing piece. So it could be a poem with artwork, etc. So we kick off the theme. Actually, our students vote in the spring, those who are in 3rd through 7th grade. We narrow it down to 5 potential themes as area coordinators. And we have about 33 school districts from across southeastern Wisconsin who participate in this activity. We narrow it down and then we push that out, and we'll get thousands of kids voting on what next year's theme should be. We then reveal that theme in October as students get to work and try to make sense of it. I've included the video because we do put together a video to get them thinking of ideas. We aren't going to watch that tonight, but it is linked there if anyone wants to see that. And then we do some brainstorming with our students just to get them thinking, you know, what are positive and negative what if situations you can think of? Words to get us thinking. Well, let's say just suppose or just imagine, or for our older students, hypothetically. And then can you think of events from history or personal experience that kind of enlighten this theme for you? And then we have some other brainstorming that our teachers will do just to get the students thinking. And then they have to start thinking, well, do I want to write a poem? Do I want to work on my artwork? What do I want to do that goes with this year's theme? All right. So in order to bring this to light, I would like to invite our students in. They all have been assigned to one of our wonderful people here this evening. Yeah, come on in, everybody. You're so wonderful. All right. All right. So let's see if we can match up. They're gonna come in the inside. They have a piece to share with you this evening. For those that even the audience, yeah, but I will stop the date. Number one of our, it takes time. That was our.
Big fan. So.
I'm happy to host the live. I remember that. I'm very about it. I want to talk about you know what I mean? Oh, there you go. That's right.
How you doing? Awesome. Congratulations. Or something.
I have a degree in.
All right. All right, so families who are sitting here and the rest of our audience here, all of the 24 pieces, 21 pieces that were selected this year are also laid out in the slideshow. One of the things we'll do next year to kick this off is their work becomes the exemplar and the work that we feature as students get onboarded with this project. So these little snapshots that we took here are just there to then help others have examples to look at. And so their work will be featured next year in that kind of slideshow. Next Tuesday, and parents will be another letter coming home to you because there's some special parking directives and what have you. We will be honoring these students plus those who could not make it this evening, our 21 Elkhorn students at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. They'll come up on stage and be awarded a copy of their book. So then they're officially published authors and illustrators. We have 3 returning published authors and illustrators that are here with me, and probably 5 or 6 of our 21, well, this is at least their second time being published in the book. So some of our kids really like to, you know, explore this opportunity each year. So we could just give a round of applause for our There's no students. I'll see you later this week, and I will be bringing you notes, and then you'll be bringing those notes home to family.
Real
Okay?
quick, could we have them all come in the front and get a picture?
Yay! All right, come on in, you guys. Maybe you could stand kind of.
You want us to stand up? Mr. Tedlock, or?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they have the board stand and
Right. Yeah, I don't know if you. Boy, for all of us, right?
Yeah, that's it in there, Tedlock.
We gotta see teams, we gotta see teams. Hang on. All right, is everybody ready? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
We got more. This is like going to the paper and stuff, all right? Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you so much for coming, family. Thank you for being here.
Right, ready? Great job, everyone. I know.
I know Amy wouldn't share this with your own form, but she's a very integral leader in the area on the Southern Lakes Anthology. We're keeping it going. I know they have. How many entrants? 80? There's,
So with the 33 school districts, each of we can bring 24 entries. And so we whittle that down here with our own, and then we polish and edit with the students. So that's part of this whole process on the road to being published. I'd say if we do the math on that, that's like about 700 plus entries that we judge, and then we arrange the judging. This is Jason knows this is my passion project. It's like planning a wedding each year to get the judging through. And yeah, so we're on, I think, book number 35 now or something. It's great. So, and then I just spoke to a parent who said I was published in that book, and they were a little thinner back then, but yeah, she's remembering. So I'm just gonna step out and meet with her.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you guys. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, we'll move on to our overnight travel request from the FCCLA.
Sounds good. Hello, I'm Jenny Waymeyer. I'm the family and consumer education teacher over at the high school. And with me tonight, I have 3 FCCLA members. Previously, Jamie Saunders was here asking permission on our behalf to go to the state FCCLA conference, because that evening, all of my participants were helping to cater the National Honor Society event. And so we were kind of double booked. So she came and hopefully answered your questions. So with me tonight, I have 3 of the students who went to the state conference, and they're going to give you just a brief summary about how that went. And then from there, we have 2 travel proposals. So Izzy, you're always a great opener. So everybody, this is Izzy, and take it away.
Okay, state was super fun. I went last year and also competed at nationals last year. This year I didn't compete at state, but I had the opportunity to do a breakout session. And so it was just a presentation. It was a 10-minute presentation about work ethic. And for me, I really love the topic of ethics and philosophy, because it's not really something that's talked about a lot. So I really love the opportunity to be able to share what I know with people, especially when they can use that to be more dedicated and passionate with the things that they work with. So state was a really cool experience for me this year.
And how many people came to your session?
About 60 people.
I got up in front of 60 people and just presented, and it's like, I want to do a session on work ethic. I was okay. So she's an amazing presenter, as you can tell. So, all right, Aiden.
Okay, hi, I'm Aiden. This is my 3rd year going to state, and I competed in baking and pastries. So this year I had to make a cream puff, a muffin, and a sugar cookie, and then also decorate a cake in front of 2 different judges. And then they go around and you taste your stuff. They make sure you're doing it correctly, using proper sanitation, all that kind of stuff. It was fun. I like doing this event. I'm really interested in baking and pastries, and the whole experience is good. Yeah, and I'm also going to nationals this year for it.
And she's very modest, but out of 26 students, she was 2nd, and at regionals clinched 1st. So she's an excellent baker. She's one of our culinary students and is hoping to pursue a career someday in this industry. So that's it. All right, Jonah.
I'm Jonah. I went to state because I was a regional rep for one of the 7 regions of Wisconsin. So at state, I helped with supporting the advisors through events and other things that they needed. So if they needed me to move something or bring something to them, I would help with either. I was in a cooking event, so I helped a lot of making sure everyone was in the right place and making sure that the food was out and all the meat was moved from the freezer and back and forth. And that's the main gist of what I did at state.
Logistics. So we are asking for your support to attend first of the national conference, and that is June the 28th through July 3rd. This year it's being held in Seattle. And Aiden will be competing nationally in the baking and pastries event. That will bring together between 50 and 70 other students from across the nation. We did have a student compete in that last year as well. You only get, is it 2.5 hours? Yeah, you get 2.5 hours to do all of those things that she illustrated, plus one more thing, I think, at nationals. And so they usually have it at a cooking school or like a community college. And you're competing at the same time as 20 some other students, and then they run different waves of the competition. So we're certainly excited to have Aiden represent us. And then Jonah will be competing in the culinary mathematics event there as well, which is a testing event. So you study all the mathematical kinds of things around culinary, and then at the event you take a timed test, and then they announce their top 10 finishers for the timed test. So in addition, Aiden's father, Jake, is going to be coming with us as an additional chaperone. And again, we're looking for your support financially. We are in a good position this year. Fundraising wise, we worked with the Walworth County Fair. We worked the Barnyard Adventures tent. We did a new event with them that was tasting new vegetables during the fair, and so they compensated us for our time there. We do other fundraisers, including the catering, like the National Honor Society. So we're building just a little bit of fundraising into that. So we're not asking for any financial support, but we're just asking for permission more or less to go to nationals.
Sure.
And then I don't know, did you want me to package both the events together? Do you want me to talk about? Okay.
Yes.
So then a little bit further down is the other event, which is the Fall Leadership Institute. And you've seen us in the past for this. It used to be called the Fall Leadership Conference. I think most recently Columbus, Ohio. Yeah, so most recently it was in Ohio. And then for this upcoming year, they've decided to kind of put a different spin on it and turn it into a Disney Leadership Institute. And they're only accepting a certain number of students to participate in the event. They're having it one weekend in Florida and another one in Anaheim. Unfortunately, the Florida one doesn't work with our school schedule. And so to kind of outline the cost for that, it is a little bit pricier. Obviously, anything Disney is going to cost more money. $510 is going to get them pretty much the 4-day package. And actually one of those days is a day off of school, and then 2 are over the weekend. So the students will miss maybe 2 days, depending on travel plans. But we're anticipating, again, doing some of that fundraising through catering. Again, we've been asked to do the Barnyard Adventure and just kind of the other kind of fundraising things that we do. We do a holiday knife and cutlery sale that usually yields us some good profit as well. So, did you guys have anything else to share? I'm sorry, I talked too much. Okay.
Is it more than just this team that's going?
We aren't sure about California. Right now, they're kind of working out logistics. I would not anticipate more than 4 students going.
Okay. And I know Aiden and Jonah are participating in the one that's coming up here around the corner. What about you, Izzy?
No,
Not this year?
But last year we were down in Denver. We were in Denver last year, and Izzy did amazing. So we'll hope to get her back at Nationals again next year. So.
Can we go back? Where was state held?
The Kalahari.
Oh.
Yes, you've probably heard from our friends from HOSA recently, and HOSA and FCCLA tend to host their events in the Wisconsin Dells because they can get kind of some off-season pricing.
Yeah.
And then it's just a good facility because it can fit everybody. So plus there's the water park. that's a bonus for everybody.
Great.
Amazing programs.
So, just looking for, a motion to approve the overnight travel.
I move to approve the FCCLA overnight travel request as presented.
Is there a second?
A second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the FCCLA overnight travel requests. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You're
Have fun.
Yeah, have fun.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And please report back on all the results.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
I need a short recess for some new batteries on the mouse.
Oh, wait.
They could probably cater one of our retreats. She's throwing that out there.
I think that would be spectacular.
Can they take requests?
Always, we always cater events, so keep us in mind.
I love this idea.
Right.
Right?
They could just do board meetings, you know.
Right.
Right?
Oh, now we're talking. Is that a motion?
Funny.
And don't get me thinking now. No, you're all, stay focused.
Maybe just just our retreat.
Retreats, yeah. I like that idea.
Mhm.
Hell, I know, I'm planning a wedding. I'm sitting there thinking, my head is spinning.
It's a good call.
What?
It's a good call.
Yeah.
So,
The best I ever had going to a national convention was Kansas City,
Okay.
which was great. Just Kalahari, Disney,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
Denver.
Denver, yeah.
Wichita.
Are you saying
I was-
that the German conferences aren't that exciting?
Sorry. When I was.
I got this school.
When you were in school, got it.
Fantastic.
Okay.
I get to go to a conference in Wausau last week and got to drive home and all that fun stuff.
Oh.
On Tuesday. Oh, yeah.
All right, I had to do it. I get mad at my kids at home for taking batteries from other remotes.
As long as it's your own.
One of them was.
All right. Next item on the agenda is the resolution authorizing the redemption of certain of the general obligation school building and improvement bonds. That's a mouthful.
Can you repeat that?
No.
No. You can read it.
I think I can give you a little background information. This is a proposal that would provide the opportunity for the school board to pay off some of our long-term debt early.
Right, and we talked about this as part of our,
Yeah, it's part of our budget
savings
retreat,
to,
yes.
yeah.
And it was one of the recommendations that came from the ad hoc financial stability committee as well. And in putting this together, we work with Quarles, who's our bond counsel, and the reason you have two resolutions, and I see Mike is online from Baird, he'll probably go over this in a little more detail, is that part of the opportunity is to use cash in our debt service fund to pay off what we consider callable debt. We've been kind of waiting for some of our debt to become callable, so that's why it's coming now. And then some of it isn't callable yet, but that will go in an escrow arrangement.
Okay.
So that's why you have two separate resolutions created as they are. Robert W. Baird works with us closely on a number of financial items, and they put together kind of the schedule and the amortization and the payoff based on what we requested in terms of how this matches up for the school district. Mike from Baird, Mike Clark, is online, and Jason, if you would go to the notes section, there's a summary document. And I think, yeah, this link there, that might be helpful, Mike, to kind of walk through that a little bit if you could.
Yeah, I'll do that. Good evening. The first, again, there's two parts, but both parts are trying to achieve the same thing as was indicated in terms of prepaying some of the debt. So this first portion that was looking at the 2015 bond issue, we were focused on the 2025, 2026 maturities. You'll see before they're kind of boxed, and we're using some of the funds to actually pay these off. A call notice will go out for these payments, and then after a 30-day waiting period, after the call notice goes out, the district can pay off this debt, so it'll no longer be outstanding. And then you can see after, you'll see the reduction of the 25 maturities fully paid off, and a portion, about a third of the 26 maturity is paid off. Again, this was targeted based on the desires of the school district in terms of where it wanted to see how using these funds, how it would impact future levy requirements. So this, again, the debt became callable April 1 of 24, so just roughly a little over a month ago. And now the district can pay it off in full after the 30-day waiting period. And so you can see to the reduction, there's a reduction column, the second column from the right, that's the reduction in future levies. And then down below that column, you'll see that there's savings being generated of about $22,100. That's taxpayer savings, since this is referendum approved debt. The interest savings isn't huge, just because these payments are coming up quickly and your debt is at relatively low rates. And so it's taking about $532,000 of funds to prepay those payments. The second one is a cash defeasance. And if you look under the before defeasance box, we're looking at the 27 through 2030 maturities. And if you look above with the gray bar, these are not callable until April 1 of 26. So the funds will be deposited into an escrow account. And on April 1, 26, the escrow agent will pay off the portion of those maturities in 27 through 30. And again, you see the existing payments under the before in that blue box. And then you'll see what those same maturities, what's remaining. We're not paying them off in full. We're paying a portion of all four of those, again, to get to the desired future levy the district was looking for. Since these are a little bit longer outstanding longer, they have a little higher interest rates. That does generate more savings. So if you go down to the reduction in Fund 39 debt service column, you'll see the reductions annually, and then you'll see the net savings to the taxpayer of $486,000. So between the two, it's over $500,000 of interest and taxpayer savings by doing this. And then again, it also gets to the targeted debt schedule or levy schedule for debt going forward. One thing different with the defeasance, there are some costs associated with it. Quarles and Brady, who drafted the resolutions, and Baird has we call it a consulting fee for putting this various structures together. There's a CPA verification fee. So basically the escrow agent, who is Associated Bank, they also have a fee for performing that service, but they also want to have a third party to verify that the funds going into the escrow account and the investments purchased in the escrow account, you're limited to government securities, are sufficient to make those payments. The escrow agent is now legally responsible for. So they want a third party to say, yes, you have enough money to make the payments that you're taking responsibility for. They're not, they don't take they don't take Bill's word for it. They don't take our word for it. The CPA provides a report to say, yes, funds are sufficient to meet these obligations going forward. And so there are some costs associated with it. The one thing that's nice right now is the investments we're buying in these escrow accounts are providing a nice return. With the inverted yield curve, short-term rates are pretty high. And so it's a very efficient escrow, and that additional interest you earn helps go towards paying off not only the principal assigned, but the portions of those principal payments, the interest associated with the portion of the principal payments are being funded through the escrow account. So it generates a nice savings. Again, it's a relatively short turnaround. It's just a 2-year window. And then in April of 26, those maturities will be paid in full and no longer outstanding. But regardless, once this is established, the escrow is established, it no longer is considered debt of the Elkhorn School District. It is, even though the bonds are still outstanding, it's the legal obligation of the escrow agent to make those payments.
What are the typical rates you're seeing in those escrow accounts?
Well, we're right around 5% for the next couple of years. So I think, we're seeing just around 5% for the 1 year, and the 2 years a little bit lower, because again, it's an inverted yield curve. So we're probably seeing upper 4s for the second year, and that's as long as the escrow would be outstanding. And then as you go out further, the yields actually drop. If it was say a 6 or 7 year escrow, the 6th and 5th, 6th, 7th years would have lower returns than the first couple of years, just because of the nature of the yield curve right now. So it's a very nice return, and again helps generate additional savings for the taxpayers.
One of the number pieces here, it's kind of hard to see, I realize, because there's a lot of numbers, but the very last column on this sheet gives you kind of the annual payments and how that changed.
Yeah.
So what used to be about like 4.2, 4.3 million a year suddenly becomes maybe 3.5, 3.2.
Yep.
And would remain at kind of that level amount until I think the year 2033, which is when it drops again.
Yep.
To about 1.9, and we have 4 years of that, and the district's debt free, basically.
Wow.
Yeah, and those drops in the future, it's always hard to tell when a district might have additional asks from the voters, whether it be operational or facility related. We're built in just to give opportunities for the district to consider going to voters at a time where there's an offsetting drop in a levy when you might be asking for additional levy support from the voters. So it's hard to say that far out exactly how that might line up with the need, but that's why we have those drops out there in a few years.
Anybody have any questions?
Lots to digest.
Again, there's 2 resolutions.
Right.
So there need to be a motion and a second on each resolution to move forward, and there's a number of documents that Adam and Julia would need to sign this evening.
Right.
You have any thoughts, Ed?
No, I think it's
Okay.
a smart move. So I'll make the first motion. I move to approve the resolution authorizing the redemption of certain of the general obligation school building and improvement bonds dated June 15, 2015 as presented.
There a second?
Second.
Mr. Glenn? It's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution authorizing the redemption of certain of the general obligation school building and improvement bonds dated June 15th, 2015. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Andre,
Yes.
Mr. Gayheart,
Yes.
Eric Gordon,
Yes.
Mrs. Ingersoll,
Yes.
Mrs. Costa,
Yes.
Mrs. Reckles,
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow,
Yes.
Mr. Barkus,
Yes.
Mr. Forrester.
Yes.
All right, and I'll do the second one as well. I'll move to approve the resolution authorizing the transfer of funds, the establishment of an escrow account with respect to and the defeasance of certain of the general obligation school funding, school building and improvement bonds dated January 5th, 2017 as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution authorizing the transfer of funds, the establishment of an escrow account with respect to and the defeasance of certain of the general obligation school building and improvement bonds dated January 5th, 2017. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Andre,
Yes.
Mr. Gayheart,
Yes.
Ms. Eric Gordon,
Yes.
Mrs. Ingersoll,
Yes.
Mrs. Costa,
Yes.
Mrs. Reckles,
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow,
Yes.
Mr. Barkus,
Yes.
Mr. Forrester.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you for joining us, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, have a nice evening. We'll be in touch.
Anytime we can save the taxpayers money, it's a good thing.
Great. And follow through with the ad hoc recommendation.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, next item on the agenda is, the approval of the school board minutes. I will note that, there is, on your board notes, it doesn't, the first one does not indicate the, closed session, but we can, I think we can do them together, right? The regular and closed.
Want to do the regular
On the
closed
20
session?
from the 22nd, it's just not listing it.
Everything's scale for both.
Yeah,
Yeah. we could do.
Adam, were you part of the closed on the 22nd? I think you were out of town.
He was online.
You were online, but you were part of it, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Great. So, does anybody have any comments or anything that they wanted to make on either of those?
They're voting on the.
The regular-
And the close.
The regular and
On the
closed session
22nd.
of the 22nd, it just doesn't indicate that in your,
Well, I move to approve the minutes of the April 22nd, 2024 regular session school board meeting and the closed session school board meeting as presented.
and
Second.
it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the April 22nd, 2024 regular and closed session school board meetings as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next we move to the minutes of the April 29th closed session. Looking for a motion on that. The April 29th closed session would have been the expulsion hearing.
I move to approve the minutes of the April 29th, 2024 closed session school board meeting as presented.
My second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the April 29th closed session, 2024 closed session school board meeting as presented. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? And then the April 29th regular session school board meeting minutes. I actually did have one correction on that. At the very end, under report and discussion items. Not quite sure how Mr. Andre got roped into that. That was actually a joke. Actually not on the subcommittee. He attended, but was not. It was actually Mr. Scarrow that was part of that committee.
Which one is?
It's at the very end on the second page. You just missed it.
Oh,
There you go. The last sentence, the subcommittee, it should read Mr. Gordon, Mrs. Ingersoll, and Mr. Scarrow.
oh, okay.
But the joke might have not have been interpreted through the tape recorder, so.
So I'll make that correction.
I would say it's up to Mr. Andre to tell us if it's a joke or not.
I was here.
You're always.
No, you were
Where he was.
No, I was,
He
I paid,
was online.
yeah, I was
Right.
online and then I stayed for the.
right,
thing. I didn't know it.
yeah,
All right. That's pretty funny.
yeah. So just looking for a motion to approve that with the modification.
I move to approve the minutes of the April 29th, 2024 regular session school board meeting as modified.
There's a second.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the April 29th, 2024 regular session school board meeting as modified. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and opposed? Okay. Moving on to general and other fund bills.
The general other fund bills this evening covers checks number 152074 through 152226. Wire transfers 938 through 944 and ACH checks number 748 through 792 in the combined amount of $1,012,788.73. And then I provided a memo with some further explanation on several of the bills in your board packet. And then at the end of the packet is a copy of the treasurer's report for the month of March.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Truon? Okay, hearing none, then just looking for a motion to approve.
I move to approve the general and other fund bills of May 13th, 2024, check numbers 152074 to 15226. Wire numbers 938 to 944 and the ACH numbers 748 to 792. In the combined amount of $1,012,788.73 as presented.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the general and other fund bills of May 13th, 2024. Check numbers 152074 to 15226. Wire numbers 938 to 944 and ACH numbers 748 to 792. In the combined amount of $1,012,788.73 as presented. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Andre.
Yes.
Mr. Gayheart.
Yes.
Mayor Gordon.
Yes.
Mrs. Ingersoll.
Yes.
Mrs. Costa.
Yes.
Mrs. Reckles.
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow.
Yes.
Mr. Barkus.
Yes.
Mr. Forrester.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to the appointment of the CISA 2 delegate. Do you have any questions, Mr. or your Gordon?
I so that you will fill me in on what duties I have to do. Self-motivation.
To the wolves, I like that.
Yep, so the wolves.
Mr. Tadlock can probably give you an overview of the CISA 2 delegate does, because I honestly have no idea.
We'll research that together. For you, and you, Barb Fisher serves as the CISA 2 delegate.
Exactly.
CISA 2 is comprised of kind of similar to a school board, but has board representatives, but then they also have one delegate from every school board. And so from time to time, I think quarterly, they might have a meeting that the delegates are invited to where they give some direction or oversight to CISA 2 and what they do.
And CISA 2 is in Milton.
No, it's in
Whitewater.
Used to be in Milton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's at the Whitewater Innovation Center, so it's a
Yeah.
better drive for us. Barb was
Yes.
my understanding was an actual board member of CISA 2, so the delegate doesn't have as many meetings, but you'll receive notices and communications related to that, and provide feedback to them on their.
We
Direction.
purchase services from them. Yeah.
I move to approve the appointment of Kyle Gordon as CISA number 2 delegate as presented.
There a second.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve the appointment of Kyle Gordon as CISA 2 delegate. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you for serving.
Years ago, I used to often, when it was in Milton, I would often go occasionally to
Okay,
CISA.
okay.
It's a very nice setup that they have
It is.
now in the building, much better than the basement.
I've been over
of the
there. I just
Milton Center, yeah.
never served in that role, so. Okay, moving on to our 2024-2025 K-12 student parent handbook. Mr. Tadlock, you have all of the changes that are proposed?
Okay. The changes should be updated in blue throughout the policy here, and each year and or stricken from the language. each year Jody does a great job managing this and going through, updating and aligning it with any of our policies or the updates related to that to make sure that our, because the handbook is considered board policy as well, and the officially approved handbooks are. So it needs to be aligned with our policy books and guidelines. You'll see a number of them are, the references, those are all hyperlinked. We have tried over time to get a lot of the more agnostic in the language so that it's not outdated as far as limiting the number of names and phone numbers, but we do have links to those directories that are there. And there weren't a lot of recommended changes this year from administration related to the handbook. But
did everyone have a chance to review the handbook in the areas that were looking to be changed?
I assume the calendar's gonna be added because I wasn't able to see anything when I clicked on the link for the calendar.
yes,
That's at the very beginning, I think.
was it a permissions?
Oh, maybe it was
It's right there.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, it just says.
Yeah, we'll have to fix it. That's the, I know what's going on. It's. Problem is on these, it's the cloud service of Amazon, so when they put the hyperlink in on the calendar. You have to actually go in, took me a while to. Figure this one out. We'll have to go back and fix that link. It's
Okay.
usually, it's just too much on the redirecting
Sure.
on there to the Amazon piece. So we'll fix it.
I actually had a few things that I wanted to
Discuss.
bring up. It's on page 6. Under inclusivity in our schools. I feel like there's some maybe redundant language in here.
Is it page 6 of the
Well,
actual, on the bottom of the
No,
page 6?
Yes,
or-
it's page 6 on the bottom,
Okay.
yes.
There it
Yes,
is. This
thank
one
you.
right here.
Yep. So it reads, Elkhorn Area School District is committed to establishing and sustaining. I think we could take out the word equitable there and sustaining a community that achieves the school district's equity mission. We're,
Equitable and equity mission.
yeah, it's kind of redundant and feel like it doesn't need to say it in both places. So that was the only change that I had on that. We're already saying that it's an equity mission.
Yeah. I don't have,
Editable rights.
no, so Katie will have to get it just from. the
Okay, and I
report.
have it
That's
marked
fine.
on my sheet here too,
Okay.
so I can give that to you afterwards.
All right. And I wonder, I know this comes, I believe this comes from language from one of our policies, but I thought we addressed that in the policy as well, the redundancy,
I
but,
thought we did too.
okay, we'll
So,
double check
yeah.
that, all right.
And then on page 13, I more or less have a question. At the top of page 13, under student attire,
Okay,
the first one is shorts of an appropriate length may be worn as weather permits. How are we defining appropriate length? And the reason I'm bringing this up is from personal experience. When I was at the PLTW showcase last week,
Mhm.
I was horrified, honestly, at the length of one student in particular's shorts length. It was anything but appropriate. So
So if it's causing a significant, as we look at it, we've modified or changed this language, or this has been the language for several years. If it creates a significant disruption to the learning environment. Now, if the board wants to tackle that one and come up with a specific definition, because I mean, we have had that in the past, I mean, that's certainly the prerogative. I don't know if I would have a great recommendation for you other than what we currently have, because that has been a process of learning over time. I've seen things from 6 inches above the knee or to the fingertips, but bodies are all built different. So
If you go up to the next page on 12, it's the general, or is it down? Is it?
It's the next. Well,
Because they're specific and general, and they're right next to each other.
Specific is on page 14.
Okay, there you go. Does it address it in that one?
it doesn't.
It doesn't get too specific. I know that, I know from experience in the past, it was fingertip length. But again, like Jason was saying, everybody's different. So where my daughter's fingertips went, absolutely, you're not wearing that to school.
I understand
Go
that.
back and change, you know,
But when buttocks are hanging out.
Right.
To me, that's inappropriate.
oh, absolutely, I don't disagree, I don't disagree, I'm just saying. It's so, it becomes even specificity becomes subjective.
How do you guys feel about it?
great question.
Say that again?
I've never really had a problem with it, but I could see where other people would. I've never seen anyone wear clothes that have like distracted.
Okay.
I could see that.
I've never noticed that.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm trying to remember which school I was at, because I was at both the high school and the middle school.
Where we had the big blow up years ago, which I felt bad for the young lady because she went to, parents called the news media and the news media came down and
Yes, I remember
the young lady got just sandblasted on social media
Right.
from the comments and the debate going on through it. It's unfortunate. It is awkward, as especially as any administrator or a male administrator in particular, when addressing those type issues, or as a male teacher, that instantly it jumps to, well, you're sexualizing, a teenager or a young kid, and how that. So it's tough. I get that.
completely get that.
And I have no doubt that, there probably was somebody that. Obviously, if you saw that and buttocks are hanging out, that's not appropriate, and they should be wearing that at school.
Is there,
And I would say in most cases, in the way the handbook's currently set up, the language is there to where that could be addressed if it were noticed in that aspect.
Is there language? I didn't read it close enough to see if there language that says any type of clothing is a distraction to.
That.
yeah, does it state that anywhere? That I think it does, actually. If the school attire, dress, or grooming which is disruptive or a disturbance, this was repeated. I don't have a plan to print out the page before.
I mean, this line right here should be clean, fit appropriately, and be in good condition.
It's the fifth bullet point down on page 14.
On page 14.
Yeah, I mean, there's another apparel of a inappropriate length is not permitted, overly revealing shorts, skirts, pants, or shirts are not permitted.
Okay,
I don't know if that.
so
covers it. This is in the school building and that at functions.
Well, if it's a school sponsored event, it could carry over, but there's school sponsored events where. Depending on the event, it's.
Right.
Yeah, they're not enforcing a dress code like to prom or
Okay.
to swim competition.
Nutrition or
Right.
gymnastics or, yeah, I mean,
Right.
that's understandable,
Right.
obviously with that, so I was just wondering.
It does have the students who are representing our school at an official function or public event may be required to follow specific dress requirements.
Yeah, and apparel of inappropriate length is not permitted. Overly revealing shorts, it pretty much like lays it out there, so.
So I think
I
the
guess-
language is there.
The language is there, so I guess my
And-
next point is. How do we get our teachers or personnel to be empowered to enforce it?
If we're gonna do that too, we've gotta address the midriff thing, because that's,
Well, there
It's in
is,
here though.
yeah, no, but I'm saying,
that is not being,
Nothing's uniformly enforced.
right,
right,
and I guess that's what have a problem with, is that it's not being enforced. And the kids know that, then that's why they're doing it, because it's not being enforced.
To be honest, as a teacher, I was very hesitant to
And I-
approach any female
Yeah.
about their attire.
And I completely understand.
And I know it's gonna sound funny, but it worked for me. I made sure my room was as cold as possible, but I had to wear a jacket, because I said, wear a jacket inside. I know, it sounds
Mood,
funny,
though.
it sounds funny,
Oh,
but
that's, I like the
then I didn't
perspective.
have to deal with that issue.
Yeah, and I completely get it.
I can certainly go back to the administrative team, and if this is a point of emphasis that the board would like to make, and that the board's willing to support you and, you know, getting the angry phone calls or whatever, then we can certainly do that. And it's kind of what I know is there's an ebb and flow in society with different styles and, you know, sometimes the shorts go longer and the shorts go short, or vice versa, and that's been going on for decades. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I just remember looking at my highly conservative aunts when they were in school in the 70s and late 60s, going, holy smokes, those are some short skirts. You know, but it's so, I don't know, it's something that we can certainly make a point of emphasis if the board would like. It is. It has become bigger, how do you put it, with the certain platforms that are out there now and communicating and so forth, and oh my gosh, I'm a victim, this person addressed this, they're, you know, they turn to that, but we can. Is
it something that we can literally copy paste this portion of the policy onto a form? And that way it is there, it becomes non-confrontational from the aspect of this is for you, and it's checking the box, and that same thing gets sent to a parent. So that way the child's been notified, the emotion's been taken out of the deal, you're not having to have a conversation. I don't know. I don't know, maybe I'm simplifying it. Go ahead, laugh.
I'm just saying I don't think you can remove the emotion from it.
Yeah, no.
You'll
but-
get your body image shaming me, you're just saying this because I'm just going on, and it's not, I hate to just make it, I just want you to know what they'll deal with.
And
Okay, you're just calling me on the midriff because I'm
Mhm.
a larger body size, and this
But at
person
some
wore it and
point,
they're fine.
We
and-
have to have some standards.
Yeah, I mean, if we're putting it out there as policy and then not following it through, then why have a policy then?
Exactly.
Just a correct.
I don't
Or whatever
disagree,
you
and I ask the principals every year if there's something that's not willing to be enforced, and they didn't ask for that language to change, so there should be no qualms with them enforcing.
I think the language is there. I
Yeah,
don't think the language.
That's what I'm
has to be-
saying, if
Yeah.
they weren't willing to enforce that, or they felt it was irrelevant, they should have requested a change.
Right.
So I can go back and reiterate that, and they'll have to navigate how to address that. You're right, the midriff, even the sweatshirt, the cutout, the shorter length on the shirts for whatever reason
Yeah,
is more in style now.
Well, and I mean, something.
It kind of went and.
Yeah.
went back.
Well, the simplicity of that was, I dealt with the dress code issue, that was the top must meet the bottom. So if you are wearing a shirt and, something that you put on from the top and something that you pull up from the bottom, the top and the bottom must meet in the middle somewhere.
We
I
can
don't
make it a point to reemphasize, I think for this sentence, for the language, is the board comfortable with the language that's in there? I think addressing it and enforcing it's a different.
Yeah.
I think it also helps that we have a number of female administrators.
Yes,
Yeah,
I agree.
Hate to
Yeah.
push it off on them only,
Right.
but as I said, as a male teacher, I could never, ever touch that topic.
No, when I was a principal, it was the school counselor, because I didn't have an AP, but she was female and say, we need to talk to this
Yeah.
individual, yeah. Once in a while, when it was the teacher, I'd go to the union leadership and say, will you go and talk to them?
Okay. And I don't know if it was addressed here or if we have an issue with students who are wearing pants below the waist. So they're.
I think that's showing exposing their underwear.
Right.
I haven't seen that as.
Well, exposed undergarments are not permitted.
Okay, so there you go.
The
So that-
language is there, like I said, I have
covers
no
it there.
problem with the language.
Okay.
Maybe we put something on the either regular agenda or policy agenda to address enforcement, because I think there's a couple other things that. Yeah, maybe a subcommittee conversation, cell phones, stuff like that.
Well, that was my next.
That's
Okay, there we go.
Page 40 and 41.
Okay.
So,
So if we make it an actual meeting to discuss it in depth, enforcement of that stuff.
And that was gonna be my recommendation,
Okay.
because the whole cell phone issue, I would like to address that. That's
Second.
kind of, I've publicly stated that when we had the, candidate forum, I publicly stated that that is something that I wanted to address, and cannot tell you how many conversations I've had with both teachers, administrators, parents, other people who have come to me since then and indicated their support of, removing cell phones from the classroom. So I think there needs to be a larger conversation about that. That's not something that we can talk about, resolve tonight.
Yeah, as a teacher, that was the number one distraction
Yep.
in my role.
Yep.
It was the cell phone.
Yep.
And we had a lawyer come in and talk to us, and I asked, is there any way we can restrict that? And she said, not since Columbine, can you take them completely
No,
away?
that's not completely true, but
Well,
there are schools that are doing it. But I'm definitely not in favor of the changes that were proposed for the handbook, so we should
So
talk
we
about it in
should
policy.
maybe potentially table action on this until you guys take it back to
Yep.
policy. I make a motion to table the handbook conversation until policy is able to review.
Second.
Can I just bring up from a timeline standpoint,
Sure.
it might be.
Yeah,
Well, we can go ahead and take, I don't think they go and print these in the student planners anymore.
No, it just is online.
It's too big, yeah,
It's
it's
online.
online, so it should be fine. Yeah. And we could do that, and I think it would be wise to bring in, and I don't disagree, I'm seeing a lot of positive or encouraging, there's a handful of schools who have put in certain criteria related to
Yep.
cell phones that, like, they make magnetic pouches that they can put them in and have them during the day. The middle school, for the most part, and student reps, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're not to have them on your person at the middle school. Unless it's related to a class activity or something that the teachers. I don't know, maybe you guys can speak to that, how it works at the high school and the middle school.
Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, for the middle school, I know majority of teachers just told us to leave them in their locker if we had them at school at all.
Okay.
But high school, it's a lot different. I know of like one or two teachers that are pretty strict about it, but other than that, it's pretty loose.
I know I think involving the administration as well, there's definitely pros and cons to it. I would probably say I'd lean more on the side of, yeah, go ahead and restricting that. I think one of the concerns that they have, and when we look at high school and that college and career readiness and that development, at what point do we need to teach appropriate use and professionalism and that sort of, etiquette and how you appropriately handle that, because as adults, they're going to have that as well. And just as we're adults at a meeting and we all have our phones, what's that appropriate use and so forth. Which Eric Gordon pointed out, from the parental concern, there's nothing legally that guarantees access to or that they get that.
Right.
That is a common concern. I just saw an interview today with a principal from Georgia where they did the pouches. And, he reassured parents that, look, yes, if there's an incident that happens, all of our classrooms have at least one phone, if not two, and all the staff have a cell phone as well. And I know all of us, when there's many more phones accessible than, a couple of decades ago. So in regards to an emergency, there's plenty of phones to contact emergency services. It may delay somebody texting or trying to call in during an emergency, but really from a protocol standpoint, you're not supposed to
Correct.
be doing that anyway, from a safety and security standpoint. Right. So, all right, we'll table the handbook and we can have that brought up in the next policy meeting, which I think wouldn't be until June. Just from our schedule and the way the calendar looks this month. But I don't think we have one currently scheduled, correct?
I thought you had one on the
We have
20th.
one on the, no, we don't have one on the 20th.
We
We
could have.
don't, you're right, Jason, we do not have one scheduled. We had one last week, Monday, on the 6th. So we don't have another one scheduled.
You want to squeeze one in on the 20th?
I can make it work.
I can do it.
Yeah, I can do too. We need a second or motion?
Yeah, somebody needs to second.
I'll second the motion.
Sorry, which, go back to the handbook, please. Number is 13.
Yeah. Okay, so.
Ed seconded it?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's been moved and seconded to table the student parent handbook agenda item until the policy committee can meet. Can I do that all in favor, or does it have to be okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Item is tabled. Number 14, the student representative report. Moving on to something fun.
Starting with the high school, flowers will be available for purchase for graduates at the senior class fundraiser. It will be $25 and the purchase will be due before May 24th. PFL students were able to simulate a professional life where they had a certain set income and they had to make purchases in their life while trying not to go bankrupt. And the canopies on the tennis courts are now finished. So big thanks to the Four Legs Athletic Club and Roth Fencing to help provide shade to spectators.
Yeah, they turned out really nice.
We'd like to thank the amazing Elkhorn Area Middle School PTO and EAMS parents for providing the EAMS staff this week with raffles, gifts, and food for Staff Appreciation Week. We'd also like to thank Stebbins Builders for delivering donuts for Teacher Appreciation Week. And finally, congratulations to the middle school's March Students of the Month.
Jackson kindergartners playing a fluency study game. Students walked around the room while music played, and when the music stopped, they found a partner and practiced saying their words together. First graders practiced double-digit subtraction by doing problems in front of the class and teaching to their peers. And second graders watched Monsters, Inc. while taking shelter during the storm.
The alphabet countdown has started for the last days of school as they begin to come up quick. And the kindergartners were joined by Sugar Creek Landscaping to make Mother's Day flower pots.
Oh, that's great. Fun.
Hibbett's first graders had a fun time listening to stories from 2 mystery readers. The first graders also built various devices using sound and light. And third graders had a good time doing math problems by using dry erase markers and solving them on the floor.
That's awesome.
Second grade academy is having a great time in science. Habitat dioramas and stop motion videos have been the latest units. Third grade academy students put on their archaeologist hats and sorted some fossils. And options staff wore pink the other day to let Mrs. Stallings know that they all stand behind her and know she can beat it.
CCA Edge students helped out the Elkhorn Chamber of Commerce by moving furniture and helping renovate.
Nice.
Parent Connections thanks Mr. Cruz and our wonderful FFA and incredible 4K staff for a great preschool planting night. They also wish a happy Mother's Day to all the leading ladies out there. And calling all strollers and feet, join these fluffy wonders for a wellness walk every Wednesday in May. Meet at 11:30 a.m. on the Oakland Square.
Nice. Thanks, guys.
It's every Wednesday.
During the month of May.
Or May, yes.
Yep. It's wellness walks. Great, thank you, guys. That was yours. Last student representative report.
Nicholas, was this your last meeting as well? Or were you planning on being on the next board meeting?
That'll be on
Like,
May 28th.
May 28th.
I can show
I know this is Hayden's last
Yep.
meeting, and want to thank him for his service this year and being at all the meetings. I do have a gift for you, but I don't know where it got put at. Right. So I'll get it over to the high school.
Thank you very much for your service.
I know at least one of the parents would like to get a picture of the school board with the.
Yes.
Yeah, after the board meeting.
Of
So,
course.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll see your Sunday, but we marked it.
Oh, yeah. All right.
All right.
Mrs. G, you've been patiently waiting.
Yes, the director's report this evening. My name is Amy G, again, K-5 Director of Instruction, and I also wear that talented and gifted coordinator's hat. So our amazing students kind of gave you a little foreshadowing of tonight's presentation. Just so that the school board is aware, we do have a district policy that I don't feel needs to be revised at this time. But it does support what we call as Wisconsin Standard T, which went into effect back in 1985. And that advocates that school districts provide appropriate programming for gifted and talented students in Wisconsin, kindergarten through grade 12. And then there's also an administrative rule that gives the directive that each school district must establish a plan and designate a person to also coordinate that programming. So our policy, which has not been revised in a number of years, definitely accomplishes that goal. But we're going to go a little deeper tonight. What I would like to do is recognize some of our GT resource teachers in the district. These are teachers or administrators who help to anchor some of the programming in the buildings. At this time, I'd like to also highlight advanced learner opportunities that happen in grades kindergarten through 12, and then kind of go a little bit deeper and review programming opportunities for our intellectually gifted or subject specific gifted students in the district and what that process looks like for identification and program. Thanks, Jason. All right, so just a wonderful shout out to the following people who assist us with that GT programming. We started at the elementary level. Thank you to Michelle Shaw at Tibbetts, Amy Demeter at Jackson School, and Vince Silvera, one of our AP principals at Westside. We also want to thank Jessica Rimey for anchoring different activities and working with me at the middle school, and Jamie Richardson finds time to help out at the high school. So thank you to those folks. One of the things that we talked about already this evening was the Southern Lakes anthology project. There is actually a cohort of gifted and talented programmers from around the state, and we have an organization called the Southern Lakes Advanced Learners Network. And it's basically like a work co-op in that all of us serve on different committees, helping to put forth all of these different activities. And then we are welcome for a small fee to bring our students to that event. It's a nonprofit, and it's basically continues just through our own volunteer efforts to provide this programming. So here are just a few of the things that we may participate in throughout the year with our students here in the district. All right, so challenging our high ability learners. These are just some of the activities that take place throughout the year, and these are open to all students to participate in. Sometimes it's based more on interest. Sometimes we start out at the classroom level, and those that really excel might move on to, say, the next level. What I wanted to do here is, so you'll see that anthology project kind of kicks us off in October for our younger elementary students. Even though the National Geographic disbanded the Geography Bee right at COVID time, we still have our own Geography Bee that we'll do locally for 4th and 5th grade. A long-standing tradition in this community at the elementary level is spelling bees, and we do continue those activities for our kids who really get into that. I'll talk more about our creativity conference and Math 24 coming up yet this spring. Our middle school students participate in middle school math meets, the National Junior Honor Society, and we also have the Honor Society at the high school as well. Middle school and high school academic bowls, and then a high school leadership conference are some of the things that we have open to students. So highlighting a couple of things that have happened or will be happening this spring. This is a wonderful, again, this is a long time standing event that happens in this community, and it's called our Creativity Conference. It kind of goes beyond the science fair. The students can research any topic they want to. We provide some guidance and as we go here, as well as a video that's linked here that students can kind of watch and see how other kids have done this. Really, this is something that students work on with their families. We've seen like cross-generational projects come in where grandparents work with their grandchildren on different topics. They may build things and present that. So it's just a wide array. And we usually have anywhere between, I'd say, 125 to 175 students participate each year. And we pull this together in the middle school gym so that all of the students, including options, the 3 elementaries, can be on site together and you can tell our veteran parents who are there because they bring like camping chairs because they know they're going to be camped out at the site while their students travel. So it's a night for these kids to teach others about their passion project. You'll see we have 2 first grade boys here. One on the left is Emily Lynn's son. The one on the right is one of our speech pathologists and Randy Dripkin's grandson. They researched like the history of sports logos in Wisconsin and then drew those all out. We have another student, who's been learning guitar. A lot of different cooking projects come in, as well as we had a family set up that bar for a gymnastics presentation. And again, there's just a lot of things. The one in the front here is that was a whole Star Wars presentation. There you can see he's dressed in costume. Yeah, so students pick their topic and go from there. So it's just a great evening. Coming up next week, we have our Math 24 tournaments, and I'm still looking for volunteer proctors if anybody's available from say 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock or about 12:30 to 2:30.
I see
So-
a great volunteer up there on the top.
Yep,
right.
and I am so desperate that is my husband who is drafting each year
Yes, I see
to
that.
play this game. So I already put out a feeler to my son to see if he could get the day. I said, don't you have to do volunteer work with your company? Like, can you come up from Chicago and do this? But
When is it?
unfortunately, Wednesday's not a good day, and it's Wednesday, the 22nd. But if you're interested, you can email me and we'll see about that. But basically, that card is there. And our 4th and 5th grade students, basically have to come up with the answer 24 by manipulating all of the numbers on there and in 3 complete math sentences. So you're saying there's not even a 24 anywhere near that card. How does this look? So
they go 24, 5 times 5 is 25, 25 plus 3 is 28, 28 minus 4 is 24.
yep, and that's great. That's
So you have to
exactly
use
right.
all the numbers.
They have to use all the numbers and they have to say their last step first. And then work it backwards, so that as the proctor, the judge and the other students at the table, they can follow their math thinking to see how they got there. No, you did it, you solved it correctly, but what you would say is 28 minus 4 is 24, and then you say exactly what you said.
And the
So-
kids get, the ones who are really, they just,
Oh, they're really.
they
good.
memorize the card, so they see the card come up.
Like they can configure it very,
See, and I had it with dice.
yes.
Have you seen the
Okay.
dice? The dice are really cool.
Oh, that would be
There were-
cool.
There were 3 or 4 different types of dice, so you'd have the traditional die, and then
Yeah.
you would have like a 12-sided die, and you
Sure,
have
to get the larger numbers. So the 5th grade
And
deck
that
will
way
have
it's more random and they
two
couldn't
digit
memorize.
numbers that they'll manipulate and. So it's really great mental math practice. We start off with at least 24 students at each building and we whittle that down to a team of 8. So we'll have 24 students playing math 24 from the 3 buildings and fun.
I'll
fun
volunteer my
competition.
husband.
Okay.
I need-
I'll separate our husbands at the event.
We call him Rain Man. He's an absolute geek.
He loves
when it
it.
comes to
Okay,
math.
this will be
I
great.
need to look at a calendar, but I may be able to.
Okay, that would be wonderful. We love it.
And he doesn't have anything on the calendar, so.
Okay, good. That's awesome. Another thing, just to give a shout out at the middle school level, we compete in area academic bowls. The high school academic bowl is kind of the big event in the Southern Lakes Conference that we attend in February. But our middle schoolers also participated and took home quite a few medals for first place, finishes, etc. And so we can involve 15 of our students from the middle school in that event. We also have our math team pictured here at UW Whitewater back in January. This is our team moving on next Tuesday as well to Madison Colleges where they'll be attending to compete in the mega math meet there. And just a shout out, Jakey Liga also placed in the individual competition there and he does a nice job. He placed last year as well. And then at the high school level, Jamie Richardson does a great job leading us in our 3-2-1 academic competition. And along with our artists and writers who will be honored at UW Whitewater next week, Jamie will be bringing 4 of her artists along. They set up displays in the lobby prior. They too come on stage and just talk about their career aspirations, whether art continues on their journey or not. And that just kind of gives our students a little idea of what's ahead in high school and beyond with different artists also there. Okay. One of the things we do, particularly at the elementary level, where we're just getting to know those students and ensuring that we really are on point with the academics, is we do continue to look at our students. We complete these forms each year for our highest ability students. And this is just noting, did students participate in these activities? It was offered, but perhaps that wasn't something that interests them, or they didn't really embrace that type of instruction or those learning activities. And then this information travels to next year's teacher and then the following year's teacher. So even though a child, let's say, isn't identified as gifted and talented, but are more a high achieving student, we have this information coming to our teachers so they're prepared in advance before students arrive then in August. So it's just a little internal record keeping to assure parents that we've got that handled. Sometimes we identify students as needing subject specific, particularly in the area of math advancement. One of the things to bridge with the new math program coming in, well, how will this look? Because we do have a pretty good system in place as our students move from the elementary into the middle school for those opportunities. And it's taken quite a few years in coordination between the high school, the middle school, and the elementary to ensure those opportunities are there. We look at a number of factors when placing students in math classes, but by the 5th grade level, we typically have students that are showing very high proficiency in math, and in which case we usually have 1/3 of our students in a class that the pacing is just really starting to take off, and 2/3 of our students continuing with the regular curriculum, which is absolutely fine. Each year we reevaluate and look at those students, looking then as they merge into 6th grade, which placements are a best fit for our highest students in math. And then we have those opportunities in 7th and 8th grade for our high ability students to take algebra, geometry. Those are transcripted then at the high school and appear on their transcripts. That information goes out to parents. They can choose if they want that transcripted pass fail or a letter grade entered in which case that kind of starts that GPA. And we also have a few students that are beyond that coursework. And when that happens and they need to be grade accelerated in just math, we provide transportation. This year we have 2 of our 5th graders completing 6th grade math at various levels at the middle school. We have middle schoolers who are taking honors algebra 2 at the high school this year, and that busing, it all works right now, first hour, that we can get one bus moving and then get those kids back out to their elementary schools. So I have to say what I'm most proud about with our gifted and talented program, and Jason and I have talked about this a number of times. When I was in my former school district, I don't think a week went by when I had a parent calling, really wanting their child to go through the identification process. And 8 times out of 10, it was because the child was bored. My child is bored, therefore they must be gifted. More needs to be done. Can you look into this? It was just an ongoing cycle. Since coming to this district and since, we've continued to implement English language arts where students are given opportunity and choice to read books at their level. We have targeted instruction for all students at their level. I do not have my phone ringing off the hook because parents are concerned that their child is not getting what they need between our Project Lead the Way program, some of our AVID strategies, which are integrated, say, into social studies, and the way our teachers deliver that instruction. And again, with the reading and the math, I feel we're doing a really outstanding job at that universal level of meeting our kids' needs. However, there are students that we do need to pull over and take a closer look at. And sometimes different characteristics can manifest as far as perfectionism, that absent-minded professor with organization, that we need to target some other skills in addition to the academics. And when that happens, we do have protocols in place. Communication between the parent, the teacher can come to me and say, this child is well above the 99th percentile consistently, Amy, can you come in? And then we start that dialogue with parents. We also have an early entrance screening. That is what's keeping me a little busy right now. So if a parent, we missed that cutoff day and we're right in that September, October birthday window, can you screen my child just to see if they're ready to move ahead? And we treat them as if we're identifying for a gifted child because they do need to, we're not going to put them in one year and then pull them back the next. We really want to make sure this is in the best interest of the child. There's individualized assessments that we'll use. Then we have a planning conference with the parent, the teacher, the students, if they're at that age, to sit at the table and just talk about what may need to look differently with their education. If they do in fact qualify as intellectually gifted, we will write an individualized plan similar to an IEP, but ours is called a differentiated education plan with different goals in place. And again, those could be social emotional goals. They could just be regarding academic rigor, but we do have a process in place for our students. What we do find is by the time they reach the high school, the AP coursework, the club involvement, you've seen children in and out each week here, that really lifts and takes care of the gifted needs there. So unless there was something an outlier situation there. Basically, their needs are met in the course selection that they're making. And then these are some of the things that may be addressed in that DEP that we mentioned. Occasionally, we will find a student that may need that grade level acceleration. And if that's the case, we also work with our school psychologists on that to ensure that a full scale IQ has been done. And there's the Iowa acceleration scale. It's another form that we will work through with families just to ensure that everyone is on board and in support of that placement. Okay. So again, thank you to all of you for supporting this program. It's exciting work. It's the reason I came to the Elkhorn School District, was first to work in the GT, and job just kind of expanded from there. But again, really proud to work with these students. And we have amazing teachers out there who are meeting their needs. So thank you.
I think Amy highlighted that point, that systematic approach and that access to the instructional learning that aligns with what those students are ready for has made a tremendous difference. And we hear that quite often from parents who choose to come to Elkhorn. Just to give you an idea, I mean, it wasn't that long ago when I know Amy first came here, and again, this isn't to be, critical or anything like that. Where's the map? I wanted to share.
Keep going, not right there.
Okay. To just give you a little bit of a feel, at that time, about 2/3 of our freshmen in high school would have algebra from a sequence standpoint. Our highest achieving would have algebra at that 8th grade level. And it's reversed now to where over 2/3 have completed algebra by that high school timeframe. And that's not that I don't ever want to push a kid ahead of what they're ready for. But just from a systematic structural standpoint, we now have, the students earning that algebra, geometry, even up to that algebra 2 trade while in middle school, just creating those pathways for them. Yeah.
That's not great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
School board committee assignments. Everybody okay with committees that I selected? Well, you guys all, you guys chose.
Colin told us.
Yeah, well, there were a couple of areas where I had to volunteer.
All good.
Okay. Is there? I don't know if there's anything that we
You
have
need
to.
that form?
yeah.
No, because you have the authority to just appoint them where you want to.
Yes.
Please, you can explain it to me. He's like, you were gonna get CISA to explain to you.
Well, I can explain, I've done it enough.
Yeah. You're gonna be doing a lot of reading. Oh, boy.
A lot of reading for what?
For the scholarship.
Oh, no, it's not that bad. I served on a scholarship.
Yeah.
So you put me on scholarship because there's a lot of reading, knowingly.
Like 5 years.
Do you guys do a video portfolio or an e-portfolio with that now, right?
Yeah, we had to submit our e-portfolio and do like a 1-minute video. And then some of them required like watching.
Yeah.
Is that what you're doing now?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of different.
And the Scholarship Foundation doesn't have to manage, that's a whole different thing. So the Scholarship Foundation is different than that. So you're good. It's 3 meetings a year. Heather served that last year, right? Wow.
Yep.
Okay,
Personnel?
yeah, personnel recommendations. Thank you.
All right, the personnel recommendation sheet is included in your packet. We have a number of appointments to positions, as well as retirement of Nancy White, and a number of resignations there. We want to thank everybody for their service to the school district, wish them the best on their new endeavors, and welcome our new staff to the positions listed.
It's fun to see a former Elkhorn grad being appointed to our new science teacher at the middle school. It's awesome.
We've had quite a few, which makes me feel, because it seems like they just graduated.
I know.
They just graduated 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite a few that are, it's nice to see when they, they want to come back to be part of the district.
Yeah. Looking for a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve the personal recommendation sheet for May 13th, 2024, including the new employment contracts, conditioned upon passing the background check and district mandated drug screening as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the personnel recommendation sheet for May 13th, 2024, including new employment contracts, conditioned upon passing the background check and district mandated drug screening. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, school gifts.
We've got one school gift to present this evening. Brett Gill Dorgan has donated a Vancore xylophone.
That's pretty
Wow.
cool. Did we not have a xylophone or? I don't know.
I mean, we have xylophones, but you can never have
We
too
have
many
enough.
xylophones.
Yeah,
Is that something he just had at home and
I know, it's not something I.
Very.
Must have played the xylophone.
And needed to take it.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you to Mr. Dorgan.
It gives another student the opportunity to play the
Right.
xylophone.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Looking for a motion to accept.
I move to accept the generous school gift as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the generous school gift. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Okay. Second reading of the proposed modifications to the professional and support staff employee handbooks.
Okay, I did not receive any further feedback related to the changes in the handbooks. Again, just in review, it has the modification to the sick leave use. It has the updated compensation schedule, which we include in the handbooks. It was reviewed by the board at the last meeting. It has the updated pay differentials that were recommended and the salary schedule for support staff. And then the substitute pay modification that's reviewed for support staff and teaching assistants.
Anything that anyone wanted to bring up? Otherwise, looking for a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve the modification to the professional and support staff employee handbook as presented.
Second? Is there a second?
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the modifications to the professional and support staff employee handbook. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And now we just have the second reading of the EASD energy plan.
I did not receive any requests from there. I don't, Katie, I know you've been patiently waiting.
All night.
You would like to say in regards to the second reading of the energy plan?
She's speechless.
I know. Saving our energy.
There you go.
All right. I just want to recognize and thank Katie for being on top of this. This was a very competitive
Yes.
grant. We're already realizing savings
Yep.
within the school district, and this was the unique one because of it being the cash prize, being able to utilize it however we want it, which I don't think in my career as an educator I've ever seen a grant that's just
And with it, what
do this and you get this dollar amount to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So the continuation of this is the second half of the grant,
I was
phase
just gonna ask
2.
about that.
With your approval of the energy plan tonight concludes our project, which we'll present to the Department of Energy next week on Tuesday with our other graduates of the energy class. If they are satisfied with the results of our project, we'll be eligible for an additional check for $50,000 to make those recommended improvements that we're suggesting.
Right.
So it's a second opportunity for that kind of funding, which is really exciting for us. The larger energy projects that the Department of Energy has to make those large scale improvements, was actually amended this year for, and you have to have a minimum of 10 buildings. So we're not eligible for the larger funding. This is, to be able to capture this has been a real
What
treat.
do we have, 9?
Oh, man.
Can we count the maintenance shifts?
The recommendation was actually to consolidate with other school districts, so we could create a joint project with other school districts in our area and submit that way.
Okay.
Alright.
All right, looking for a motion to approve.
I move to approve the EASD energy plan as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the EASD energy plan. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Great. Yay.
Thank you.
Okay, last item before announcements and closed is the teacher 2024-2025 teacher contracts.
Yep, we have the approval of the teacher contracts, with the contracted dollar amounts as outlined on the salary schedule and, should be a folder and link to
Yep.
all the different individuals, but they all should be aligned to their location on the salary schedule.
And, I'm assuming that includes, or, yeah, includes the, increased salary that we.
Correct. Which is, yes, which is also then reflected in the,
Yeah.
the wage scale you just
Yeah,
approved.
Okay.
So the plan pending board approval, is to distribute contracts through our principals to our staff tomorrow.
Okay, great. So any discussion or? Otherwise looking for a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve the 2024-2025 teacher contracts as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
So moved and seconded to approve the 2024-2025 teacher contracts as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, looking for the announcements, Mr. Tadlock.
There's a number of upcoming meetings and events. The College and Career Academy graduation will take place May 24th at 10:00 a.m. at the Grand Geneva. I think I'm just gonna post all of these as having potential quorum.
Yeah,
Don't feel obligated. I know it's a lot of events, but if you can make it, then we don't have to worry about
right.
having a quorum present. The EASD, the school district retirement celebration takes place on May 28th, which is a Tuesday after Memorial Day at 5:00 p.m. at the Elkhorn Area Middle School. And then immediately following that is our school board meeting, 6 p.m. here at district office. Then options graduation is on May 29th at 5:00 p.m. In the gymnasium, and it's generally, it's a very nice ceremony. It's probably about half the students attend that, 30 or so. The reason I bring that up is following that is the Elkhorn Area High School Honors Night at Elkhorn Area High School, and I need to double check that. So it says 5. I think the options may be at 6 o'clock. I'll double check though, and make sure the invite goes out. The Elkhorn Honors Night, 7 o'clock at the auditorium, and then the Elkhorn Area High School graduation is Thursday, May 30th, 7 o'clock on the turf field. And last year we kind of dodged the thunderstorm. I think we started about 5 minutes late.
Yeah, yeah.
People, it's hard to get them out of the metal bleachers even with lightning going all around. They're dedicated to getting good seats. I don't know, I'd stand on the grass, but yeah, hopefully we don't have to dodge a thunderstorm this year. We generally have beautiful weather.
Yeah.
for the event.
We have.
Yeah. And then I want to give a big thank you to Thaden Forrester for his
Yes.
dedication this year and the student reports and sharing his perspective on events. And thanks Nicholas for sticking around for one more meeting. And then looking at it, we'd like to put a policy committee meeting on the 20th at 11:00 a.m. Does that sound all right?
20 to 11.
Yeah, does that work or?
Yeah. It's fine.
Or noon, either way, okay. We'll plan on that and get the calendar invites sent out for that. All right, and we'll make sure handbook is on the agenda for that one. All right. Okay. Then we do have a closed session.
All right, looking for a motion to adjourn to the closed session.
I make a motion that we adjourn to closed session. And then,
Do I not
Go,
have?
go through
I
those
have a
ones.
big-
oh my goodness gracious, I'm sorry. Adjourn to contemplate closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19.85, para 1, para C, to consider salary wage adjustments for supervisors, administrators, and central office support staff. The school board will not reconvene at general session.
Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Good night. It's been moved and seconded to adjourn to contemplated closed session. Statute 19.85(1)(c) to consider salary wage adjustments for supervisors, administrators, and central office support staff. School board will not reconvene in open session. Roll call vote.
Mr. Andre,
Yes.
Mr. Gayheart,
Yes.
Mr. Gordon, yes. Ms. Ingersoll.
Yes.
All right, Mrs. Costa.
Yes.
Mrs. Reckles,
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow.
Yes.
Can you take a picture of what Amy?
Oh.
Mr. Marcus,
Yes.
Mr. Forster.
Yes.